Did you know close to 50% of travel in India is group travel? Today we have a very interesting guest on our podcast. We have the founder of StayVista. Earlier it was known as Vista Rooms. StayVista is one of the largest platform where you can book villas and homestays. Amit Damani is a very interesting guest, and आज हमने बात की है about the hospitality sector, what StayVista is doing, क्या वो disrupt कर रहे हैं, and how they've become India's largest homestay villa brand in India. जो young India is getting very inspiring, right? बहुत aspirational है. आज जो 20-22 साल के भी बच्चे हैं, they want to majority जो spending है वो लोग travel में spend करते हैं, leisure में spend करते हैं. And आज का जो podcast हम लेके आए हैं is understand what StayVista is doing, and also आप लोग जब आप देखेंगे इनकी जो जर्नी है लास्ट 10 years ऑफ बिल्डिंग ए प्रॉफिटेबल स्टार्टअप, नेट प्रॉफिटेबल स्टार्टअप बिल्ड करने के लिए हम वो भी लेके आए हैं दैट हाउ इतने साल लगते हैं एक कंपनी को एग्जीक्यूट करने एंड बिल्ड करने के लिए. आई होप यू एंजॉयड टुडेज पॉडकास्ट एंड प्लीज़ मेक श्योर टू सब्सक्राइब टू आवर चैनल बिकॉज जितने लोग सब्सक्राइब करेंगे उतने ही यूट्यूब एंड द प्लेटफॉर्म वुड ऑल्सो प्रमोट आवर वीडियोज़. वी विल कंटिन्यू टू ब्रिंग मीनिंगफुल एंड इम्पैक्ट ड्रिवन कॉन्टेंट एंड आई होप यू रियली एंजॉय दिस. Amit Damani on the journey with Simarpreet Singh. Amit bhai, StayVista today is the largest villa rental company in the country. और ये अभी हम बात कर रहे हैं in the organized segment.
Correct.
So firstly, congratulations भाई.
Thank you.
The largest in India. And जो आपकी जर्नी रही है that's been very inspiring. तो मुझे ना सबसे पहले ये बताओ कि इंडिया की लार्जेस्ट ये जो विला आपने कंपनी बनाई है, मुझे पहले तो थोड़ा सा ये बताओ कि we were just talking about organized and unorganized.
Right.
Tell me about the market and फिर बात करेंगे why villa.
Right. So, thank you. I think we're still very early in this journey. In this market also is just getting developed at the moment. I think we've just been an early mover and hence we've been able to ride that wave. But if you just look at the way Indians travel, we love traveling in groups. पहले भी सोचे, like I think when my parents also went on a honeymoon, imagine they went with a couple of other friends on their honeymoon as well, right? कि अकेले travel करने की आदत ही नहीं थी. Even now I feel people travel a lot with their friends, with their family. That's the cultural sort of ethos in India. Like you do things together.
कितना I think 50%. I was reading that around
50% of travel in India is group travel.
So group travel, that's
Correct.
a very important data point, right? कि मतलब when you say group, that means कि 2 लोगों से ज़्यादा जा रहे हैं, 4 या 5
4 से ज़्यादा जा रहे हैं. So more than just a family of
Okay.
2 और उनके 2 बच्चे.
Okay.
There is another group, whether it's a group of friends, whether it's your other cousins or corporate colleagues के साथ आप travel कर रहे हैं उस हिसाब से.
Okay.
So people love doing that in India. And I think in the villa segment, what is this villa segment is basically a place where people can go and stay in groups. And people love sitting together and chatting, right? अब friends को साथ में बुला दीजिए इधर. Everyone will sit together, have some tea, coffee, relax, talk. Versus if all of you are sitting in a restaurant where it's noisy and it shuts at a certain time. And you can't order anything beyond a certain time. You're always limited in terms of how much quality time you can spend together. घर पे बैठे हैं वो conversation आपकी 11 बजे की जगह 3 बजे सुबह तक भी extend हो जाएगी and there's no problem. No one is stopping you from doing that. And that is the beauty of staying together in a villa. And earlier what would happen is you didn't have access to these homes. Most people who build these homes were high net worth individuals.
Right.
They decided कि अपने aspiration के लिए कि one day I will own a large mansion and a villa and उधर रहेंगे. And वो खुद के लिए ही सोचते थे, उनके family के लिए ही सोचते थे. But over time, what has changed in people's mindset is that you can use it for yourself. At the same time, you can give it to others. And globally, I think that change in mindset has taken place over the last 20 years. Ki you can share things because there are trustable platforms through which you can.
But would you give credit for that to Airbnb?
100%. I think Airbnb has changed the way people think about travel. They don't just think of hotels, they think of other ways and other forms of accommodation that they could stay at. Not only in India, but all over the world. And I think that's the opportunity we saw. Ki people really want to go spend quality time together in a home where, or any space where they can sit back and relax. But what was the gap? Even when we started, was most of these homeowners were not giving out their property. A few of them were. तो पहले हम उनके पास गए और उनको बोले कि लाइक आप हमको दे दीजिए, हम चलाएंगे, आपको कुछ टेंशन लेने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. 11 बजे रात को अगर एसी नहीं चल रहा है हम फिक्स कर देंगे. वी डोंट वांट यू टू बी गेटिंग अ कॉल फ्रॉम अ गेस्ट कि लाइक ओ दीज आर द इश्यूज टेकिंग प्लेस, क्योंकि हॉस्पिटैलिटी में कुछ ना कुछ तो गलत होने ही वाला है. That was what we realized. We need to handle the homeowner and take care of things. And once we did a good job with one homeowner, they referred us to someone else who had never done it before. Right? इसमें भी there's that domino effect. 5-10 जन जब शुरू करते हैं, if that goes well, they will tell everyone else
Trust
कि
भी
हम
build हो
भी
जाता है ना?
correct,
Trust भी build
build हो जाता है. They tell other owners कि हम ये कर रहे हैं, बहुत अच्छा चल रहा है, घर भी बहुत अच्छी तरह maintained है, we're able to make some money which we're then reinvesting in the property. So then other people start opening up to that idea, and that's what started taking place. We saw from 2015 onwards.
Okay, you started in 2015, na?
Yeah.
Started, okay.
Yeah, but in this segment specifically in 2017.
Villa 2017 हुआ.
Correct.
But अमित भाई मतलब we'll deep dive into the idea. But मुझे ना ये समझना चाह रहा हूँ कि you guys are the largest in the country today in the organized segment.
Correct.
And hospitality इतना fragmented segment है. There are so many chains which are trying to do this. Oyo is again catering to a different segment. अलग-अलग लोग हैं जो कर रहे हैं. But in a sector which is so fragmented, so unorganized, मैं ये जानना चाह रहा हूँ, आई अंडरस्टैंड द ग्रुप पार्ट, बट ये जो विलाज आपने चूज किया मार्केट, वॉज इट बिकॉज ऑफ द 50% ट्रैवल लोग ग्रुप में करते, वो कारण था विला सिलेक्ट करने का? बिकॉज इट्स यू आर ओनली टारगेटिंग द हाई एंड कैटेगरी, राइट? बिकॉज जहाँ पे आज लॉट ऑफ चेन्स आर जस्ट पिचिंग अफोर्डेबल ट्रैवल, यू आर सेइंग, boss, I am not going to pitch that.
Yeah. So I'll just give a quick background on hotels and villas में क्या फर्क रहा है in terms of how the sector has got organized and why we're doing this. In terms of hotels, what happened first was the chains like Marriott, Hilton all started before a Booking.com started.
हाँ, प्लेटफॉर्म के पहले.
प्लेटफॉर्म बाद में आया. पहले होटल्स बने. Right? So that's what took place globally. लोग होटल खोलते थे, चलाते थे, फिर एक होटल खोला, 2 होटल खोले, 10 होटल हो गए, एक्सेट्रा. इन द इंटायर होम स्टेज एंड विला सेगमेंट प्लेटफॉर्म पहले आया.
ओके.
सो फॉर एग्जांपल एयरबीएनबी केम फर्स्ट.
करेक्ट, वो पहले आए.
करेक्ट. एंड एयरबीएनबी पे बेसिकली डेमोक्रेटाइज्ड कि आपके पास रूम है, आपके पास घर है, आप मेरे प्लेटफॉर्म पे डाल सकते हो. सो पीपल स्टार्टेड लिस्टिंग देमसेल्व्स ऑन दैट प्लेटफॉर्म, right? And they started hosting on it and guests started connecting with them. So it was completely fragmented. What we saw as the opportunity or the gap was that in India especially, there is a lack of trust. Trust deficit बहुत high रहता है when you're transacting with someone. तो जो आप देखते हैं lot of times आपको वो मिलता नहीं है. So to bridge that gap, if you look at India as well, why is the entire travel agent network so large? Even to make a booking for a hotel or for a homestay or for airlines, people trust a travel agent because, I don't know if this person who I'm speaking with is a legitimate person or not. Right? So I'll trust someone who I know for a while. Kuch galat hua to I know this person will handle it. And the second thing is with respect to the trust deficit is that most guests want referrals. They want to be referred by someone so that they go to a place which is highly
ताकि जो ट्रस्ट डेफिसिट इतना ज़्यादा वो कम हो, जितना भी कम हो.
करेक्ट. हाईली रिकमेंडेड.
ओके.
उस हिसाब से people try to decide. So that we felt platforms were not solving it. People didn't want to just connect and chat with someone. They wanted to ensure कि like there is someone who will take care of my entire stay.
Okay.
So they will trust a brand more than just some individual through which I'm making a booking and I'm connecting with this host.
Sure.
That is what we saw as an opportunity. That brand which will ensure कि ये घर में बेडशीट कौन से है, टॉयलेटरीज मिलेगा कि नहीं, खाना कैसे मिलेगा, where is it exactly located the property, explaining all those details. I think we saw as a gap that needed to be solved for.
But ओयो भी सेम ही कर रहा है ना, मतलब अगर हम विलास को एक मिनट के लिए साइड कर दें, बट इज ओयो ऑल्सो डूइंग द सेम थिंग ओनली? मतलब फंडामेंटली अगर वो विला नहीं कर रहा, वो तो होटल्स के साथ टाई अप कर रहे हैं ना.
So when you look at when it comes to budget hotels, right? That segment is extremely fragmented as well. There are all these individual properties that are managing those properties. And again, there was a trust deficit amongst guests that what will I get at a villa, at a hotel named A1?
Okay.
Right? You don't know. You don't know exactly whether it'll live up to those photos that you can see there. Reviews also, people doctor it quite easily.
कर लेते हैं, अपने खुद ही डाल लेते हैं.
Correct. On TripAdvisor, the highest rated hotel in UK was someone just made a profile was to test out whether people realize it or not, and he turned it into the #1 profile on TripAdvisor. It was nothing. It was the backyard of his house.
Crazy.
Right? Just so this is very easy to like maneuver online now. So in the hotel space as well, it's a very fragmented market, and people like Oyo started organizing that. We saw the opportunity in the entire villas and homestay space. We chose that because we are automatically inclined towards creating experiences as founders. And leisure travel is all about experiences, giving a great time to people that they'll remember forever. I think most people remember in the top 5 memories in life, one of them will be a travel
100%
experience they've had with their family.
100%. बचपन की आज जो यादें हैं वो ट्रैवल की हैं ना, मतलब वो दिल्ली गए थे या गोवा गए थे, मतलब यही यादें हैं. Correct. True.
So I think that is what really excited us. Ki like if it's a travel brand we're creating, it has to be experiential. So we said let's focus on this, and there is a lack of brand that exists. Can we ensure the entire experience is taken care of for a guest? And hence we started building this segment.
ये आपने ना बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट बोला है कि प्लेटफॉर्म जैसे इन केस ऑफ जो हार्डवेयर है, इन टर्म्स जो होटल्स थे पहले है ना, पहले मैरियट्स और ताज और IHCL जो ताज की मेन पेरेंट कंपनी, पहले ये लोग आए, उसके बाद प्लेटफॉर्म बने हैं ना, booking.com और ईज माई ट्रिप और जो भी कंपनीज है ना, उसके बाद वो कंज्यूमर उनके थ्रू बुक करता है और ट्रैवल एजेंट्स फिजिकली बने. इन यू आर सेइंग इन दी होम स्टे और इन दी अदर, यहाँ पे पहले प्लेटफॉर्म आए, पहले प्लेटफॉर्म बना, ट्रस्ट गेन कर लिए, एंड देन sort of suppliers जो विला ओन करते हैं उन्होंने लिस्ट किया, एंड देन कंज्यूमर्स. दैट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. दैट्स एवोल्यूशन ऑफ अ मार्केट. बट आपको लगता है ट्रस्ट बिल्ड तब भी हो रहा है, लाइक when you go on a platform, right, let's say people come on your platform, how do you ensure to build trust to them? वो कैसे build कर रहे हो आप?
Yeah. So first your brand has to start and stand for a certain promise.
Okay.
So that if that's clear to a guest, that is when they will keep coming back to you.
Okay.
So the proof of the pudding is whether they're coming back to you after their first stay.
And how many referrals would कितने आते हैं आपके पास वापस?
So for us, about 40% of our guests are repeat or referred every month on month. Right? That has taken a journey.
Okay.
But initially also we saw that traction taking place. So I'll tell you, when we started, very interestingly, we just listed our number online. What we saw as a first difference as a platform was that we didn't want to be a platform where people can just chat with each other.
Okay.
Right? We were promoting our properties on Airbnb as well. We were promoting our properties on booking.com as well. Those were all channels for us to distribute once we've tied up with a property. What we saw on Airbnb also was most guests were trying to share their phone number to speak. Which is actually something that's not allowed on Airbnb. Airbnb only wants you to transact on the platform by chatting.
Okay.
Right? Because once you do a call, that person might go offline and try to close a transaction directly with a host. But that is what we saw guests wanting to do. So our goal was that let's provide call support to a guest.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. और कोई नहीं कर रहा, आप बोल रहे हो?
नहीं, प्लेटफॉर्म्स करते नहीं थे. प्लेटफॉर्म्स वर जस्ट सेइंग कि आप एक दूसरे से बात करो and close करो transaction. But Indians were not comfortable with that. The trust wasn't like.
उनको फोन पे बात करनी है ना, वो फील करना है बंदा जो भी.
So just like, and we put our number initially, right? So people started calling us, we started guiding them which property and why would we recommend this, or kya services aapko chahiye, and just it turns into a 1-2 hour conversation. Initially we said let's do something which is difficult to scale, but at least we are solving a customer problem. And that's what we saw led to that same guest coming back to us and saying, अच्छा इस टाइम अलीबाग गया, अगली बार मुझे लोनावला जाना है, आप बताइए कौन सी प्रॉपर्टी आप रेकमेंड करोगे. सो रिकमेंडेशन, एज आई टोल्ड यू, ट्रैवल एजेंट्स जैसे पीपल वंस दे ट्रस्ट यू, दे विल कीप आस्किंग यू फॉर recommendations and coming back to you. And that cycle started, even if it was small, right? And that has continued.
वही snowball effect बनता है ना.
And we've continued having that contact center, right? That we need to provide.
अच्छा, अभी भी है. So आप बात करते हो अभी भी कि नहीं?
From time to time, yes.
अच्छा, आप
Some of
करते
our past guests still call us,
हाँ.
and we have to recommend and refer places. But slowly we build the team around it.
तो मैं ना इसको अभी हम द इंटायर बिजनेस मॉडल को भी हम तोड़ेंगे. वील ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ डू यू सिलेक्ट, अगर किसी ने विला अगर करना है सिलेक्ट. उससे पहले ना मुझे एक चीज़ आपसे समझनी है कि एयरबीएनबी तो आपका एक तरीके का कॉम्पिटिटर ही हुआ ना, लाइक सो मुझे समझाओ इसके बारे में, कैसे क्यों नहीं हुआ?
Marriott as a brand is a hotel.
ओके
Marriott as a hotel brand sells on their website.
ओके
They also market and distribute their property on other channels, which
ठीक
is a booking.com, which is a
Okay.
Make My Trip,
Okay.
which is also through travel agents.
Okay.
Similarly for us, that property is a Vista property, right?
Okay.
It's a Vista property which is marketed on our platform
एज वेल एज ऑन एयरबीएनबी.
as well as on Airbnb, as well as on booking.com, as well as on Make My Trip.
So you brand this, all your 1,000 villas, 700,000 villas which are registered on your platform are branded as Vista property, and they can also go to Airbnb also. मतलब अगर वो अगर मैं मेरे पास विला है, वो आपके पास तो हुई, बट मैं Airbnb पे तो लिस्ट कर ही सकता हूँ ना अपने आप को.
वो सब हम संभालते हैं. तो
ओके,
आपके पास प्रॉपर्टी है.
इट्स एक्सक्लूसिव.
Correct. It's exclusively with us. आपके पास प्रॉपर्टी है.
Okay.
You are doing your full-time job, and this is a home that you've had for a long time, and you want to ensure this place is also running and given to guests so that it's taking care of itself. There's some money coming in.
Okay.
You will come to us. We'll tie up. We'll take care of everything after that.
फेयर इनफ. सो अच्छा ये समझते हैं अभी, ठीक है. सो आई हैव अंडरस्टूड दिस पॉइंट, बट मार्केट पे भी हम आते हैं, राइट, टू अंडरस्टैंड कितनी बड़ी कंज्यूमर मार्केट. यू ऑलरेडी सेड कि 50% ऑफ ऑल ट्रैवल इन इंडिया दैट हैपन्स इज ऑल ग्रुप, राइट. सो डेफिनेटली देयर इज़ अ बिग मार्केट, है ना. बट आज आपके पास 1,000 प्रॉपर्टीज़ हैं जो विस्टा सर्टिफाइड हैं. सो आज हम बैठे हैं चंडीगढ़ में, मोहाली में बैठे हैं, तो यहाँ पे हिमाचल इज़ अ बिग एरिया फॉर यू. तो आज अगर किसी के पास विला है, राइट, तो उसको क्या करना पड़ेगा टू सर्टिफाइड एज विस्टा प्रॉपर्टी, और हाउ ड आपका क्या सिलेक्शन क्राइटेरिया, कैन यू एक्सप्लेन that more deeper?
Yeah. So first, I think we started off with the idea that if you want to deliver a great experience to guests, it's not easy to do that at a low price point, right? So we were very particular that let's focus on a premium or a luxury segment to ensure that the experience is delivered.
Okay.
So we consciously took that call, and why we took that call also is based on what we've seen as the evolution of hospitality. If you look at all the big brands globally, they started off at a higher end and then created mid and lower price points.
Okay.
So if you look at Marriott, first they started off with the JW Marriott, but they also have lower end brands now, like Moxie. If you look at IHCL.
IHCL is the parent company, ना, जो हाँ,
Correct. But then they created Vivanta, they created Ginger. So they created multiple brands over time to cater
Hyatt
to
has also
different
done the
price
same,
points.
ना? Hyatt
Absolutely.
की भी अलग-अलग है.
Absolutely. So for us as well, the call was let's start at a higher price point. So we started at, and you know everyone thinks कि बहुत niche होगा, but we started at a higher price point for a reason, to create a brand and ensure that we deliver a good experience. And over time, we know we can create multiple segments around it. But the main goal was to create an experience for all our guests.
Okay. So आज मेरे पास अगर कोई लेट्स से विला है, सो हाउ डू आई रीच आउट टू यू? मेरे पास कोई लेट्स से कसौली है, कसौली इज़ द नियरेस्ट गेट अवे फ्रॉम दिल्ली, चंडीगढ़ अगर हम करते हैं. सो मेरे पास आज एक विला और एक हाउस स्टे है, घर है मेरे पास. तो व्हाट्स द प्रोसेस? हाउ विल आई गेट विस्टा सर्टिफाइड?
So hence I think we were focused on the premium and luxury segment. So we're very particular on selection of the homes that we take. So roughly about 1 out of 10 homes we are able to qualify under Vista. And 200 plus parameters we look at, from the interiors of the house, exteriors of the house, amenities that are there. For example, all our properties in Maharashtra have to have a pool. If they don't have a pool, it has to have a really good view. Lonavala, Karjat, Nasik, Mahabaleshwar. So they have to have a pool, because that weather requires that people want to go and just dip their legs into a pool and relax.
True.
Right? Versus in North, the requirement is not a pool. The requirement is the view more than anything else. Then also internally, heating systems that are set up over there, because it gets cold. Even during summertime, your nights can get quite cold over there. What is sort of the garden area that they have. So multiple of those parameters we look at. And if it's not there, either if it can't be done, like if you can't make a lawn over there or you can't make a pool over there, sometimes you might let go of that property. If things can be added, we'll have that conversation with the homeowner. And it also includes basics, right? Most homes, what happens with second homes, and I have a second home in Lonavala, is that it would be the second hand home. So जो भी मेन घर से सोफा अगर निकालनी है
तो वहाँ डाल देते हैं
right? But that is not what a guest is looking for. So we need to get those standards in place also. Bed sheets भी जो पुराने हो गए चलो उधर डाल देते हैं, जब जाएंगे उधर use कर लेंगे. But that's not what a guest is looking for. So we have to ensure those hospitality standards of the kind of linen, the kind of bedding, the kind of cutlery, crockery, the amount of quantity of that is all rightly set up in the house as well. So those are the parameters that need to go, that a property needs to go through to then qualify and be ready to host.
And क्या physically लोग जाते हैं आपकी quality control की team, like they physically go and they do the checklist and everything?
Yeah. So again, that's the difference between what we do versus a platform, right? Platform की कोई team नहीं है कहीं भी कुछ भी करने की.
But India में कोई नहीं कर रहा है ये चीज़, मतलब जो आप जैसे होम स्टे हाई एंड पे कर, like are there other people also doing this?
So now there are quite a few players now. I think we started this it's been about 7 years that we started focusing on this segment.
2017.
Correct. Yeah. And there are a lot of other people trying to create brands in this segment now, which is great. I think the market is just expanding because of that.
Yeah. But अगर if I would have to, like, for our viewers, because बहुत से लोग, majority of the people that would be listening, right? Because आजकल aspiration बढ़ गई है, right? We have 18-year-old, 19-year-olds, behind the lens. एस्पायरेशन बहुत बढ़ गई है. यंग पीपल ऑल्सो वांट टू ट्रैवल विद लग्जरी एंड लेजर. वो बोलते हैं थोड़ा भी कमाएंगे बट हमने ट्रैवल अच्छा करना है. तो सो बहुत से जो लोग देख रहे हैं माइट बी और कस्टमर्स ऑल्सो, और माइट भी उनके पास अपने होम स्टे कोई पड़ा हुआ वो लिस्ट करना चाह रहे हैं. इफ़ आई हैव टू आस्क यू 3 like non-negotiables, if someone has a villa or a home stay, अगर वो विस्टा सर्टिफाइड होने चाहिए, वो क्या आपकी तरफ से 3 non-negotiables क्या होंगे?
So I think every home has to be unique in its own way, right? So I don't think we're looking to just pick up a home.
Okay.
There has to be something about the home in terms of the design, in terms of the location. That is very important to us. So that is one factor. The second is, again, non-negotiable is your amenities in the property. So if it's in a beach location like Goa, AC is a must in that property. A pool is a must as well in that property. So amenities by location is very critical. And third, I would just say, is in terms of maintenance of a home. We come across a lot of beautiful homes, but unfortunately, maybe even a heritage house, right? जो 100 साल से ज़्यादा पुराना होगा. But unfortunately, due to time, there has been certain dilapidation taking place of the property. Renovation might be needed. So seepage हो गया, cracks आ गए बहुत सारे walls में. So some of those things are non-negotiable that you will have to fix if you'd like to host.
So, but एक तो चलो, this is the non-negotiable part, but आपने, we are still on the supplier side, right? And then we'll deep dive into the consumer side. How big is the market, customers, right? Experience. So supplier side में you're saying that Vista is managing 1,000 properties, right? If you're fine, I want to understand how do they make money? They make money through you, right? All the villa properties. उसका process बता सकते हो कि कैसे, how do they?
Absolutely. So generally we'll do a revenue sharing agreement with our property owners. Okay. So say out of 100%, 70% goes to the homeowner, 30% comes to us.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So if a booking of 1 lakh comes in the villa, 70,000 will go to the homeowner, 30,000 will come to us.
And that is like after the guests have checked out, or it is like advance?
All payments are collected in advance.
Okay.
So
100%.
Correct, 100%. All payments are collected in advance before to confirm a booking. We don't do any payment collections on site, on property. Just operationally, we think it's much easier, much simpler when everything is closed.
So 100% payment, let's say 1 लाख रुपए है, तो I'm just trying to break this out, है ना? 1 लाख रुपए आप कस्टमर, जैसे मैंने कोई बुकिंग किया आपके प्लेटफॉर्म पे,
StayVista ने कलेक्ट किया,
StayVista ने आपको दिया 1 लाख रुपए, फिर आपने उसमें से 70,000 होम ओनर को कर दिया बिफोर द गेस्ट रीचेस.
करेक्ट. नहीं, सो द ट्रांसफर टू द ओनर टेक्स प्लेस आफ्टर द गेस्ट.
ठीक है, सो फेयर इनफ, मतलब द एक्सपीरियंस एंड एवरीथिंग
वंस द स्टे इज कंप्लीटेड आफ्टर दैट.
राइट. एंड 70-30 इज लाइक जो रेवेन्यू मॉडल है, दिस इज लाइक अ स्टैंडर्ड मॉडल, और
Yes.
दिस इज काइंड ऑफ स्टैंडर्ड मॉडल
Fairly standard.
इन दिस सेगमेंट. एक और चीज़ आपने बात बोली थी, दिस इज़ वेरी unorganized. So that means supply end पे आप अगर 1,000 villas manage कर रहे हो, and if you are the largest in the country, so that there must be more villas also which are not certified or which are not on your platform. तो वो कितने villas हैं? That is one. And secondly, how do you increase supply?
Yeah. So there would be over 1 lakh plus such villas and homes across the
मतलब
country.
1% ही सिर्फ आपके पास है अभी.
Correct. Very early in terms of organizing.
This can be
this
big,
market.
यार.
Correct. Correct. So बहुत सारे घर है and many people are trying to do it themselves. हर लोकेशन में आपको मिलेंगे people like if you'll go to Manali or to Shimla, there'll be so many homestays and villas being given out in those locations as well. So massive market. Still a lot of effort will go into organizing it to ensure guest experience is constantly improving. Today, the biggest worry for a guest to stay at a homestay is primarily कि they're not sure safety, security क्या रहेगी उनकी, क्या privacy मिलेगी, क्या amenities होंगे वहाँ पे.
Okay.
So all of that needs to be solved, and then the market from a demand point of view will also expand further.
Correct. But मैंने I am still stuck on the point कि अगर 1 लाख home villas हैं या home stays हैं, उसमें से only 1,000 are certified by Vista. So are you saying जो organized कितना है इसमें से? Are you saying 1 लाख तो unorganized plus organized हुआ ना?
Organized is barely about 3,000.
3,000 में से thousands are already Vista set. So मैं ये जानना चाह रहा हूँ कि 97,000 जो unorganized है उनको ऑर्गेनाइज कैसे करोगे आप?
हाँ. So I think multiple things इसमें. So some people are running it as a business as well, right? So they are very happy doing it themselves. So someone in the family might have decided कि चलो I will only manage this homestay myself.
खुद ही लिस्ट करा लिया एंड लोग उनके नोन में आ गए और कर लिया. और वो नॉर्मली ओनर्स वहीं रहते हैं.
हाँ वही रहते हैं. Correct.
हाँ हिमाचल में काफ़ी ऐसे. करेक्ट.
So that they are very comfortable doing themselves, and that's absolutely fine. Because if they can do it themselves, which is great, like it's just expanding the entire hospitality industry in India. So a lot of people are like that, where they're doing it themselves. The other is there are certain price points at which we said we will not currently focus.
Like example, क्या price point है?
Say for us, our average price point is around 4,000 to 6,000 rupees a room.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So if it's below that, today we said we won't take those property.
मतलब आप बोल रहे हो per night 6,000?
6,000 for a room.
But room तो ज़्यादा हो ना मतलब
हाँ,
villa
अगर
तो
3 bedroom का विला है तो 18,000 होगा.
So average is what 20,000 per night?
Correct. Our average is around 20,000. And so if a villa is say below 10 to 12,000 rupees, we'll generally won't take it.
So वो खुद करे. But are you also doing, because ultimately यार मैंने before I get into demand, it's very important for all of us to understand supply, because demand तो बहुत बढ़ा सकते हो ना. demand तो मतलब हम 140 करोड़ है, right? And every Indian is an aspiring Indian. जो आज 3 लाख कमा रहा है उसको 5 लाख कमाना है, जो आज 5 लाख करे वो 10 लाख. So and they are majority of youngsters, and I think I read a report, their majority of their expense जो खर्च रहे हैं वो travel में ही खर्च रहे हैं. That's the number one youngsters में number one चीज़ travel है, right? So but आपके पास 1,000 तो बहुत कम हुए ना. So are you like, what are you doing to outreach के लिए क्या कर रहे हो? Like are there strategies that StayVista is working to increase the 1,000 to let's say a 2,000 to a 10,000?
Yeah. So for us, these 1,000 properties are across 10 key markets. So for example, in Maharashtra, we have 3 different markets. Lonavala is one belt, Alibag is a different belt, Pune, Mahabaleshwar is another belt, right? So in each of those markets, we look at how many properties do we want to add in a certain gradual pace. Why we're saying gradual is because we want to ensure the experience doesn't get mismanaged in it.
So मतलब हरी नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं है कि मेरे को टारगेट नहीं है कि मेरे को 1,500 लेके आने हैं या 2,000 लेके आने हैं.
टारगेट है, बट वो टारगेट भी ऐसा है कि इट हैज़ टू ग्रो इन अ वेरी सिस्टमैटिक वे दैट द एक्सपीरियंस डजंट गेट ऑल्टर्ड. सो वी वांट टू गो फ्रॉम अबाउट 1,000 homes to about 2,500 homes in the next 3 years.
Okay, by 2027 you say कि 1,000 का 2,500 करना है.
करेक्ट. व्हाट डज दैट मीन? हम ये 11 मार्केट में है, वहाँ पे हर महीने अगर हम 2-3 प्रॉपर्टी ऐड करेंगे, सो अबाउट 35 to 45 properties per month, we'll reach that.
Okay.
So we want to ensure that experience doesn't get compromised.
बिकॉज अगर 40% आपके रिपीट कस्टमर्स हैं, सो सारी गेम ही एक्सपीरियंस की हुई है.
एब्सोल्युटली.
कि 2,500 में से आपके मोटा मोटी अगर 1,300 लोग तो वापस ही आ रहे हैं ना, सो देयर इज रेकरिंग इनकम दैट यू गेटिंग. मेक सेंस. एंड this is supply part of it, right? And
so yeah, if we had to go after that market, we can, but we don't want to.
Correct. Makes sense. So last point on supply. So let's say किसी के पास विला है तो वो how do you reach out to you? मतलब मेल कैसे
So on our website, StayVista.com, there's a page also separately for partner with us.
पार्टनर विद अस? ओके,
And then they can...
we will drop a link also on our podcast so that they can do it. अच्छा, कस्टमर बताओ, अब तो डिमांड पे आते हैं ना, कितनी बड़ी मार्केट है यार ये? हाउ बिग इज द मार्केट?
So I think when you look at what we're catering to, this is an over 2 billion market already today. $2 billion market already.
16,000 करोड़ की मार्केट है?
Yeah.
Explain that. What do you mean by that?
So if you look at the number of properties that are there, right? There are 1 lakh which are live.
Live.
And this market is over 2 lakh properties.
राइट, ठीक है. 1 लाख लाइव है, उसमें से 1,000 आप मैनेज करो और 2 लाख से ऊपर प्रॉपर्टीज हैं, होम स्टे और विलास की. ओके,
Correct.
Okay.
So in those properties, how often do guests typically stay? Right? So ये 1 lakh properties to make it into a 2 billion market, what does that mean? Right? So let's convert this into dollars में convert करें या
जैसे
rupees में
मुझे
convert
जैसे मुझे हम रुपीस में तो कर ही लेंगे है ना, जैसे आपको ठीक लगता है.
So about 1 lakh properties are there, correct? 100,000 properties. Every month,
6 लाख रुपए हो गया
correct,
मोटा मोटी, है ना. अगर कंसिडरिंग 20,000 रुपये पकड़ रहा हूँ तो 6 लाख रुपए हो गया ना.
correct.
तो अच्छा, सो दैट इज हाउ यू कैलकुलेटेड द मार्केट. सो 6 लाख इंटू,
So अगर आप 1 lakh properties लेंगे,
हाँ,
so that'll be about how much will that be? एक कैलकुलेटर ले लेते हैं.
हाँ, नहीं हम कर लेते हैं अभी थोड़ा इसमें. अगर 6 लाख आप बोल रहे हो महीने का कमा रहे हैं, तो साल का मोटा मोटी कितना हो गया? 72 लाख हो गया, है ना. 1 लाख अगर है तो वही बन गया ना. अगर इसको 72 लाख इंटू अगर हम 1 लाख करते तो वही 8,000 करोड़, क्या 70, हाँ इतना ही बन गया. 8,000 करोड़ हो गया फॉर दैट 1 लाख. बट है 2 लाख, सो इंटू 2 कर दिए तो $2 बिलियन हो गया.
Exactly. इसमें खाना और कुछ नहीं लिया है.
यार ये तो क्रेजी है यार. तो हमको को भी करना चाहिए यार ये काम. तो यार ये तो आई हैव नो क्लू दैट इट्स अ $2 बिलियन मार्केट. और ये आता हॉस्पिटैलिटी के अंडर ही हुआ, मतलब यू sort of segment this into hospitality only.
Correct.
So this is how big the market is.
Correct. And imagine nothing has been done so far.
तो आपका कितना
Still the
उसमें
surface.
से कितना शेयर हुआ? Like मतलब you are the largest out of the $2 billion market, and like what was your?
For example, FY24 we did about 140 CR of sales.
यार ये तो
Still early days, but like
ये तो
it's a
nascent
big
है यार.
market. Correct. Exactly.
140 करोड़ का, मतलब that's a top line that you guys did.
Correct.
And have you guys, like you're a consultant है ना, तो कंसल्टेंट वाला तो कभी मरेगा नहीं अंदर से जो कंसल्टेंट वाली चीज़ है. तो लाइक यू मस्ट हैव डन सम काइंड ऑफ वो 2x2s वी आर ऑल यू नो. तो आपने हैव यू done some analysis on what is the customer wanting today? Is the customer moving away from the typical hotel experience? So have you done some customer insights? लोगों को क्या चाहिए आज के young लोगों को?
Yeah. So for us, what's been very interesting is group travel. Is that niche we said we'll focus on. What we saw was between 0 to 4 guests and above 30 guests. The needs are very different. So 4 to 30 is our sweet spot. That is that group size we typically cater to. 0 to 4 would typically be a family with their 2 kids. They are looking for a place with a lot of amenities and a lot of things for their kids to do.
Okay.
So they're very comfortable going to a resort for a leisure holiday. Right? वहाँ पे बड़े से स्विमिंग पूल है, बीच फ्रंट है, गार्डन है, प्लेइंग एरिया है, and lot of other amenities, activities, etc. So they're very happy and they don't want to be alone. They actually are, as it is just a small group, they feel like चलो कोई बड़ी जगह जाते हैं. Above 30 is when people start thinking of banquet facilities. Ki we need a big meeting room, whether it's a corporate get-together, whether it's a wedding, whether it's a big celebration that's taking place, anniversary, that's when they start thinking of banquet facility. But between 4 to 30, they think about, guys, we want to spend quality time together. We don't want this place to be shared, like हम restaurant जा रहे हैं and we're sharing it with half of the other people in that restaurant.
अपनी चीज़ लगे है ना.
Correct. स्विमिंग पूल में अपने साथ बैठ रहे, गप्पे मार रहे, खेल रहे पूल में, गार्डन में खेल रहे. लिविंग रूम इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर.
या जैसे घर पे होता है, हम सारे लिविंग रूम में बैठते हैं सारे लोग.
दे डोंट वांट टू बी सिटिंग इन समवन्स रूम. होटल रूम में एक जन के रूम में कितने लोग आप साथ में बैठ पाओगे? So that 4 to 30 is what we realized was the sweet spot when it comes to catering to our market from a demand point of view. And I think what is that customer typically looking for? They're looking for obviously that privacy, exclusivity we spoke about. The second thing they're looking for is in terms of a price point. If you look at it, when you're more people going together and staying at a villa, it's much cheaper than staying at a hotel. So it's not just the experience and privacy exclusivity, but the price point as well. These two are the main.
ये अगर सिंपल
2x2s.
हमने अभी कैलकुलेट ही कर लेते हैं ना कि लेट्स से कि बिकॉज आई थॉट दैट विला तो ज़्यादा महंगे होंगे राइट बट
Actually उल्टा हो जाता है.
उल्टा हो गया ना बिकॉज अगर आप कैलकुलेट करो कि अगर लेट्स से 10 लोग जा रहे हैं लेट्स से फंडामेंटली एंड आई कम फ्रॉम लाइक हमारे फैमिली बड़ी फैमिली है राइट सो सब कुछ ही लाइक शेयरिंग वाला कॉन्सेप्ट अभी सारी है तो छोटा गेट टुगेदर भी सबसे छोटा गेट टुगेदर भी 20 लोग तो वैसे ही हो जाएंगे ना तो अगर 20 लोग जा रहे हैं तो मतलब 10 कमरे तो चाहिए अज्यूमिंग है ना तो 10 कमरे एक कमरा लेट से 10-12 हज़ार अगर कोई मैरियट में रह रहे हैं तो 10,000 भी पकड़ लेते हैं राइट तो वी आर टॉकिंग तो
Yeah, and versus your it would be 6,000-7,000 rupees.
हाँ
So generally a villa becomes more economical. साथ साथ खाना becomes economical.
और खाना इसमें कैसे होता है खाना
So there's a kitchen.
ओके
We have chefs.
ओके
Chefs will prepare food. There'll be a certain menu that needs to be followed.
ओके
There's a buffet that gets set for the guests.
ओके और वो पहले फ्रीज होता है कि क्या क्या चाहिए बट खुद भी लोग बना ही सकते हैं ना अगर खुद सब मैगी वैगी लेके गए तो अपना
So that flexibility is what people really like as well. So what we've seen is people who are traveling with young kids or people who are traveling with senior citizens. They want a lot of flexibility in terms of food. कि उनको कम तेल का चाहिए, कम स्पाइस का चाहिए, कम शुगर का चाहिए, जो भी हो. That can all be catered to for that guest. Because now kitchen, you can enter the kitchen, you can ensure things are prepared in a certain way. So that is what people really prefer.
ऑसम यार एक और चीज़ बताना कि हमने रेवेन्यू की बात की है लाइक वट एवर यू कंफर्टेबल शेयरिंग राइट यू कोविड के पहले ही आपने राउंड अपना क्लोज किया था सो कैन यू जस्ट शेयर समथिंग अबाउट यूनिट इकोनॉमिक्स की एंड यू नो वन ऑफ द थिंग्स दैट बाय द नील कनेक्टेड अस नील इज़ द को फाउंडर ऑफ रॉबिनहुड आर्मी एंड मैं उसको हमेशा बोलता था नील को कि यार मुझे ना उनसे कनेक्ट को जिसने एग्जीक्यूशन की है राइट एंड आई फील दैट यंग पीपल हु आर वांटिंग टू गेट इनटू एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड कि इट्स नॉट द आइडिया इट्स how you execute that idea and it's years of hard work right तो थोड़ा यूनिट इकोनॉमिक्स के बारे में बताना कि FY24 अगर 140 करोड़ टॉप लाइन था लाइक EBITDA पॉजिटिव है क्या चीज़ है थोड़ा यू कैन शेयर दैट
So first thing I would tell you is we've been on this journey for 9 years.
Wow.
Right? We've gone through multiple near-death experiences, pivots in our business, and building this in a sustainable manner, as well as burning in certain time periods. So we've gone through that entire journey doing multiple different things. And our biggest learning has been that just ensure that you always survive. And always survive. Like the person who's on the table at the end of the day is the one who's going to win the game. So I think that has been our philosophy. And we've learned it through these sort of experiences we've gone through. I would say we raised our first round when we started our business, right? We raised an angel round within 3 months of starting our business in 2015. And we thought, आराम से कुछ नहीं होगा.
कितना रेज किया था उस टाइम में?
उस समय हमने 3 CR raise किया था.
3 CR in 2015.
And we thought, you know, we have to just spend this money and someone will give us the next check. Like that's the only way to build startups. In 2016, we almost ran out of money. We were able to raise about 5 CR. But we realized this is just not the way to run a business. It has to be sustainable. You can't just throw money to solve a problem. So 2016 is when we started thinking about actually हमको क्या करना है. In our business, we were working with hotels initially, but we realized there's no margin and there's no guest experience sort of improvement taking place. So in 2016, we started having a soul searching moment. Ki like,
pivot कहाँ करें? तो पहले क्या कर रहे थे 2015 you were by the name of Vista Rooms also.
Vista Rooms.
So पहले क्या कर रहे थे? You were kind of a travel agent.
So we were in this room segment. We were also working with affordable hotels to begin.
So something like what OYO is doing.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. But we were working with much like the entire inventory, the entire property, and we were working in tier 2, tier 3 cities.
Tier 3, okay.
So in that point, we were looking a lot more at leisure markets than anything else.
So you said that margins नहीं है, burn बहुत ज़्यादा, and 2016 is something.
And we weren't able to improve the guest experience. So we just felt, what is it that we're actually solving? So 2016, we were able to raise about 5 CR. The next 4 years, we ran it more or less at a break even.
So 2016 was 4 CR, मतलब total 7 CR की funding हो गया.
5 CR.
5 CR, so 8 करोड़ हो गया मोटा मोटा. So 2016 to 2019.
So 2016 to 2019, we more or less ran it break even pay. We said we just need to crack what is the business model and what is the improvement in guest.
हमारी niche क्या है उसमें से?
So we started working with service apartments in Bombay. We started creating a food brand to sell on Zomato and Swiggy. We created a review platform for hotels to use. But what we narrowed down on was on this entire villa space, and primarily for two reasons. One was the homeowner side and on the guest side. On the homeowner side, as I was telling you earlier, like we saw there was a clear pain point that these homeowners had, and in order to ensure that they give their homes out to guests, someone had to manage their property. Today, 50% of our homes that come to us every month have never hosted before. तो वो किसी को देते नहीं थे, वो हमको कांटेक्ट करते और बोलते आप चलाओगे फिर ही हम गेस्ट को देने वाले हैं, राइट. सो दे आर लुकिंग फॉर अ मैनेजमेंट कंपनी टू टेक केयर ऑफ देयर होम, बिकॉज वो बैठे हैं बॉम्बे में या चंडीगढ़ में, उनकी प्रॉपर्टी है गोवा में या लोनावला में या शिमला में, सो दे आर नॉट रियली गोइंग देयर ऑन अ डे टू डे बेसिस टू टेक केयर ऑफ थिंग्स. सो दैट वाज वन प्रॉब्लम टू सॉल्व. On the guest side, one of my co-founders, Ankita, she's been staying at villas for the last 20 years.
Okay.
Right? Before Airbnb even existed. वो कैसे बुक करते थे villas? And why they would stay at villas is again, हम साथ साथ है, right? वो पूरी फैमिली साथ में जाएगी, बस में, गाड़ी में, एजेंट को पकड़ के जाते हैं. तो that's how they used to book villas. They used to trust that agent कि like हाँ ये कुछ ना कुछ sensible दे देगा. But whenever they would go stay at a villa, they would literally pack their house and go there. So what does that mean is their cook would go with them. घर के बेडशीट भी साथ में लेकर जाते थे बिकॉज दे वॉन्ट शो कैसे हो गए. पिलोज भी लेकर जाते थे बिकॉज दे हैव अ सर्टेन कंफर्ट दैट दे वांट ऑफ द पिलोज. टॉयलेटरीज लेकर जाते थे. सो इमेजिन खाना पीना सब पैक करके पहले जैसे ट्रेन्स में ट्रैवल करते थे, व्हेन यू वांट शो बेडिंग भी कैसी मिलेगी, वैसे लोग विलास पे जाके रहते थे. सो इफ यू कुड ब्रिज दैट गैप फॉर अ होम ओनर एंड अ गेस्ट, वी फेल्ट we'd solve a problem.
And this was in 2016-17 you realized कि यार this is the जो good to great में है ना, Jim Collins की hedgehog concept हमारा ये है.
Correct, right. Exactly, okay. Exactly. And we could relate to it. I think for me as a homeowner, we've had this family home for the last 30 years. And the only people who were enjoying that home was the staff at that property. Because कोई जाता ही नहीं था. वो staff ही enjoy कर रहे, relax कर रहे. So the only way to maintain that, and anytime we'd go to the home, why would we go there? Including my grandmother who's 85 and still very attached to the home. कि like वो taps को fix करने जा रहे, light को fix करने जा रहे. So who's enjoying the home? No one is enjoying that home really. So you could see that pain point from the homeowner. Ankita from the guests could clearly see कि like यार that experience is there to solve for and people want to go there.
So 2017 this happened.
2017 this happened. And I think fortunately for us we survived today because we took that call of completely stopping everything else and
just focusing on that. So 140 crore revenue and like what would be the unit economics for that then?
So with respect to unit economics, right? So as I said, like since 2017 we've more or less been profitable and sustainable until 2020, until we raised our first institutional round of funding. So at that point every booking was profitable for us.
So when you say profitable, कई founders आजकल बोलते हैं वो gross profit या EBITDA negative, क्या वो मतलब profit है मतलब net नफा बन रहा था अपने पास.
Correct, correct. We were profitable. Correct. और profit कुछ ज़्यादा नहीं बन रहा था.
जितना भी है but net profit positive था.
Correct. Okay. Profit बन रहा था. 2020 में we raised our first institutional
round. And who were these?
DSG Consumer Partners. Okay. They were the primary investor. Okay. With them, interestingly, a couple of our homeowners invested as well.
Oh, उनके family offices होंगे.
Correct. So they were very interested in what we're building, how this market is expanding. Nice. So that was, I think, a great proof of concept for us. कि like someone who's part of what we're building.
जो हमारा supplier है वही strategic investor बनना चाहता है.
Correct. So we raised about 10 CR at that point. And interestingly, within 1 month or less than a month, COVID lockdown took place. So we raised this funding and the entire world came to a standstill.
And hospitality sector was the worst.
Exactly.
Worst affected, है ना?
Nothing. For 6 months, nothing could happen. No one could leave their homes. So no one was going to any location to travel. So for 6 months, we survived because we closed that funding. So
मतलब 10 करोड़ बैंक में था, account में था.
Correct. That's the only reason we were able to survive. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure we would have shut down.
Slightly off tracking. कई बार हम सोचते हैं कि luck also plays such an important role. We don't talk about that, है ना? हम मेहनत, चलो of course hard work, idea, focus, perseverance important, but you know look at the timing यार. मतलब let's say January you must have closed, February you must have closed a 10 crore round. अगर वो 2 महीने भी लेट हो जाता term sheet, like today Vista Rooms StayVista would not have been there. Crazy यार, think of it है ना.
Yeah.
So मतलब फिर तो आप सोचते हैं तो सारा कुछ destined ही होगा फिर.
Yeah. And then I think after those 6 months of lockdown,
Yeah.
everyone wanted to drive somewhere nearby.
हाँ.
1 घंटे 3 घंटे 5 घंटे के डिस्टेंस में कहीं चलते हैं. Second, people wanted to be in their private
True.
properties versus in a hotel where they are sharing it with everyone else. तो सब विलास ढूंढ रहे थे और सब सोच रहे थे चलो मैं ये दोस्त से इतने टाइम से नहीं मिला हो या मेरे चाचा से और उनकी फैमिली से इतने टाइम से नहीं मिलते, साथ में कहीं जाते हैं.
Sure.
और तब तो वीकडे वीकेंड का भी कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं था. वीकडे पे भी हम जाके काम कर सकते हैं उधर से.
Work from home.
वर्क फ्रॉम होम, स्टडी फ्रॉम एनीवेयर.
Yeah.
तो बच्चों की स्कूल भी चालू नहीं थे. सो इट वाज लिटरली लाइक फ्लड गेट्स ओपनिंग. एंड अर्लियर व्हेन पीपल वुड जस्ट कम फॉर वीकेंड्स, अभी एवरी डे most of our homes never had Wi-Fi before. Because the idea of going to a villa was that you're disconnecting from the world and you're going.
Off the grid जा रहे हैं. हाँ,
टीवी नहीं होता था, वॉशिंग मशीन नहीं होता था, डेस्क भी नहीं होता था, काम करने के लिए कोई सोचता भी नहीं था उधर जाने के लिए. So all of that had to be set up.
Yeah.
Because now people were coming there to actually live rather than just to relax and get away from things. So we had to start preparing for that within a very short time frame, because suddenly there were so many guests wanting to travel. And that year ended up being our most profitable year in 6 months. And I think for us, the best part of that year was, one, we were able to pay everyone their entire salaries. So the first 6 months when we weren't able to pay people, like we had to actually cut people's salaries drastically, we were able to recover all of that and pay them for those 6 months of salary where we
जो
cut
कट हुआ
also.
था वो उनको compensate कर दिए in the next 6 months.
Correct.
Wow.
So, I mean, we feel very fortunate that we were able to do something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that gave us a lot of confidence, not only to sustain with our team, but bring back a lot of people who left as well. So we saw a lot of our team members coming back to us who had left, say, in the last couple of years or during COVID.
Right.
And I think we just kept building on that.
Yeah.
Kept building on
तो आज
that.
कितने लोग होंगे ऐसे StayVista में? Total?
About 360 people.
360. Like this is all full-time people employed by StayVista.
And this is the non-property staff.
Non-profit.
Staff पे तो I mean property पे there's additional staff. This
But
is
वो
our
तो that is not
360.
employed by you, no? वो तो
Correct.
विला वालों के होंगे.
Correct.
ना?
But a
Owners
lot
के.
of them have been placed by us.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So 360 members.
Wow.
So I think in terms of coming back to unit economics, right? The philosophy has always been be sustainable, ensure that you survive any scenario
Okay.
that comes up,
Okay.
and build your business according to that.
Okay.
So every booking has always been profitable. We never thought about कि ये property, ये bookings अभी
Loss
loss
कर
पे होता
देते
है,
हैं.
चलता है.
Yeah.
Just doesn't make sense.
So FY24 was a profit. मतलब does that mean कि was
No.
it?
So FY24 wasn't a profit.
Okay.
FY22 was.
Yeah.
FY23-24 went in investing in building a larger team. So I think last 2 years we spent a lot in building our teams all across the country.
Wow.
Building out our technology a little bit
Yeah.
more, doing a little bit more marketing. We rebranded from Vista Rooms to StayVista. So just a little bit of those spends went in to do that. But this year again we're profitable. In the last 5 months we've been profitable as
Right.
well.
And I think the best thing is that because you believe in sustainable businesses, तो ऐसा नहीं था कि you are always a loss making and then profit के बारे जो एक हम pitch deck में डालते profit journey, you are always profitable, right? So last 2 साल reinvest किया, now you're saying FY25 would also be with profit.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a very important thing that कि during this journey in the last 2 years, you changed your brand name through Vista Rooms and StayVista. Why did you change the brand name?
Multiple reasons, internal and external factors.
Okay.
So I think external factor was simple ki Vista Rooms as a name, rooms as a word, we wanted to drop because we're not selling rooms. We're selling an experience. We're selling an entire place that a guest can go spend quality time at. So we said Vista को रखना है, just rooms हटाते हैं. तो उस हिसाब से StayVista just seemed like a very easy, quick way of rebranding.
और Vista कहाँ से आया?
तो विस्टा शुरुआत में आया था बेसिकली एज अ वर्ड विच represents व्यू, राइट? सो इट एसोसिएट्स विद ट्रैवल. It also is a shade of blue. So we felt when you were talking about standardization of experiences, a color is a good representation of that. So that's why Vista as a word we really liked, and we stuck with that.
तो StayVista हो गया.
Correct.
Awesome.
Vista Room से StayVista हो गया.
StayVista.
Internal reason was primarily because a rebrand honestly is very important to represent something that's changing not only as a logo but also internally in the way we conduct ourselves.
kind of philosophy.
Correct. So we wanted to rebrand so that the team thinks about experience to another level now. We don't think about, okay, this is what we're going to deliver to a guest. How do we push ourselves to do even better? A lot of that was a focus as well internally.
Nice. And also it shows the commitment to change also, है ना?
Correct.
Shows कि भी यार ये लोग rigid नहीं है, change होना चाहते हैं, and you know that's their kind of commitment to consistency and change. Awesome. So यार एक चीज़ बताना मुझे. So unit economics we फाइन इस चैप्टर को क्लोज करते हैं. Unit economics. So FY 22 तक प्रॉफिटेबल था, and profit we mean net profit, right? Okay. So and now FY 25 again on the journey to
be profitable.
To be profitable. We'll 5 months हो गया तो आगे भी हो ही जाएगा. And how is like in I'll come to the founders part because वो बड़ा interesting part है. Like you guys are the majority shareholders, like all three of you combined?
We're equal shareholders of this business. Then there is a certain percentage our friends and family hold. And then
majority आप तीनों के पास है. Correct. And आजकल तो सारे IPO करा रहे हैं. आप नहीं सोचते कि चलो let's go the IPO route, like अभी नहीं?
Maybe at some point. I think there's a lot more we need to build. And we need to ensure that there is profitability consistently for many years, like how we had it earlier. So if we are able to do it over the next couple of years, 100%.
I think a lot of investors would love this statement कि यार ये बहुत मज़ेदार चीज़ है. Why I said that कि founders वाला बड़ा interesting है because a lot of young people who want to start up, right? One of their major question is how do you select a co-founder, है ना? Co-founder वाली discussion तो आधे ही लोग मतलब as I also support and mentor a lot of young startups and आधे लोग तो वहीं फंसे हुए हैं. अभी idea तो बाद में आता है कि co-founder ढूंढना है, ये ढूंढना है. And you guys didn't know each other, right? अंकित एंड प्रणव, यू गाइस हैव नो. नॉर्मली तो दोस्त बन जाते हैं ना, यंग फ्रेंड्स, तो वो बोलते हैं कि यू शुड बी वेरी कंफर्टेबल. तो आप लोगों की तो बेसिकली अरेंज मैरिज हुई है
एकदम.
तो बताओ यार थोड़ा बैक स्टोरी दो एंड व्हाट आर द लाइक द डूज एंड डोंट्स ऑफ सेलेक्टिंग अ टीम टू बिल्ड अ कंपनी.
सो फॉर अस एकदम अरेंज मैरिज रही है. 9 साल हो गए अरेंज मैरिज को एंड वी होप दिस विल लास्ट फॉर एवर. बट इट्स हाउ इट हैपेंड. At least for me, I'll speak from my perspective. For me, it was very clear that I did not want to build a business with my brother or relatives or best friends. Okay. So why that was, at that point, I felt I did not want to jeopardize any of those relations in doing work. That was the thought, कि personal and work को mix नहीं करते. And maybe because I've seen that happen across my family and other references, that there was always some form of friction when people work together. So
biggest challenge है.
So maybe so then I felt like नहीं, वो risk नहीं करना है. That needs to stay harmonious. अगर घर में harmony है, friends के साथ harmony है, then you can really focus on work. So that was the first criteria मेरे लिए. So I was very open to meeting new folks and starting something. And what was very important was as long as there is a wavelength matching, it doesn't matter if there's a skill set matching. So generally what happens in startup founders is that they'll say, oh, you get one tech founder, you're the business founder, or you're the marketing or finance guy, and you'll make a great team. But I think all of that is secondary. First 3 or 2 people or 4 people have to really get along.
वो कहते हैं ना vibe मिलनी चाहिए ना.
एकदम. So that wavelength had to match, and by wavelength, I think it actually means values more than anything else. And the first value obviously is to do with what builds trust, right? So trust is very important for any relationship to last long. And I think trust gets developed if each person is respectful of the other person as well as pushes the other person on things. So I think for the 3 of us, we met many times before we started up together. We spent about 1.5 months just meeting, discussing, chatting. And that also was still a leap of faith we took, right? How much will you get to know each other in the first month when you've really not gone through big challenges in life? I think that's when your relationship gets tested.
Correct? Good times तो सारे साथ होते हैं.
Exactly. So इसीलिए वो 7-year itch बोलते हैं. I think वो or that first honeymoon period के बाद क्या होता है? I think the first year I was telling you we raised money, everything was going well. We felt like खर्चा करेंगे तो business बढ़ेगा. When we realized that this business can't survive in this manner and we went through those challenges, of what should we do. And because we stuck through that time, I think that's what ensured that we continue working well together. So if any one of us would have disbanded at that point, or if we would have got into conflicts in terms of blaming each other in any way, things would have gone in a very different way. But fortunately, I think all of us were mature enough to realize that what the business needs and putting that first and ensuring that we're able to ride through those challenges is why we're still together.
मुझे तो लगता है कि कोई भी स्टार्टअप ने अगर कोविड देख लिया साथ में और वो सर्वाइव कर गए, एंड खासकर हॉस्पिटैलिटी स्टार्टअप, मतलब यू गाइस आर द वर्स्ट इफेक्टेड, राइट? हॉस्पिटैलिटी, ट्रैवल सारा बैन हो गया. सो मैं तो कहता हूँ अगर कोई भी लोगों ने, दोस्तों ने या कंपनीज ने वो देख लिया तो इट्स अ मैटर ऑफ लाइक सर्टिफाइड हो गया, जैसे विस्टा सर्टिफाइड होता है ना, करेक्टर सर्टिफाइड. बट हॉस्पिटैलिटी स्टार्टअप ने अगर कोविड देख लिया और उससे आके आप प्रॉफिटेबल हो गए, तो वो विस्टा सर्टिफाइड नहीं, वो तो फुल लाइफ सर्टिफाइड हो गया. सो आई थिंक कुडोज टू गाइस.
Thanks.
एंड आप मिले कैसे? How did you meet?
So 3 of us met through my neighbor.
अच्छा, so it was not like shadi.com or something.
नहीं, ऑफलाइन था, जैसे पेरेंट्स कराते हैं कि बच्चों मिल लो. So my neighbor, who is Pranav's brother-in-law and also related to Ankita, all 3 of us went to him saying कि हम startup शुरू करना चाहते हैं, ये हमारा ये आइडिया है, करना चाहिए क्या?
अच्छा, तीनों का सेम था?
नहीं, आइडिया सबके तीनों के अलग थे, ये आइडिया ही नहीं था.
ओ अच्छा.
तो हम गए और वो बोला कि वो आइडिया आप सोच लेना, पहले आप एक दूसरे से मिलो एंड सी इफ यू ऑल कैन वर्क वेल.
दिस इज 2014.
2015.
अच्छा, 15 में फिर बना लिया आपने साथ के साथ. ओ नाइस.
So it literally in 2-3 months we started this.
Awesome. And like, how are your role responsibility? Because I think a lot of young people who are starting up now, you are a pretty, I would say 140 crores of revenue is a decent sized business, right? So what would be your role responsibility among the 3?
Yeah. So the way it's divided, and this keeps evolving basis the business needs, but Ankita has been very focused on supply building.
Okay, जो villa जो question था.
Correct. So tie up with the property owner.
Right.
Demand side, Pranav has been focusing a lot, and I've been focusing a lot on operations and brand. So that's how the 3 of us have divided things.
Nice.
But we get involved in everything. So for example, I spend a lot of time with our operations in North and South India. So by operations, we mean everything, whether it's getting properties, whether it's sales for those properties, whether it's the operations and guest experience. Similarly, Pranav has been focusing a lot on Maharashtra and West as a region. Ankita has been focusing a lot on on Goa as a region. So we divide regions, we divide responsibilities, and we keep changing them as and when someone's bandwidth needs to go more in something or the other.
Nice. हमने ना we did a podcast with Sujit Bangar. I told you, who's a IRS officer, and he then founded taxbuddy.com, which is among the largest like online tax filing startup. And he talked about building trust. And उन्होंने अभी recently they've appointed a brand ambassador known as Rajkumar Rao, a very famous actor. And he said that, you know, Simar, यार India में तो मतलब ultimately आप when you are building a B2C company, it's very important to build trust and gain that. तो आप लोग नहीं plan कर रहे to have a sexy face and get the brand ambassador? Is it in pipeline, or are you thinking, is it a maybe in the future?
So our learning has been that the entire brand is built on experience. I've been saying this word experience constantly in this.
जैसे Jeff Bezos बोलता है customer obsession. So I think now the next is Amit Damani's customer experience, है ना?
Because the entire brand has been built on that. That repeat rate, referrals, everything is built on experience. And if that is delivered well, all our brand ambassadors are all those guests and homeowners who keep referring us and letting others know about us and coming back and staying with us or giving us another villa that they built. So that's been the core focus in terms of this entire brand building for us. Just constantly keep delivering that experience. So is that day-to-day execution on ground is what creates this experience. And it's not just our philosophy, right? If you think of all the big hospitality brands, you will not remember any celebrity face against those brands. You will remember that experience related to the brand. Whether it's Taj, whether it's Oberoi, whether it's Leela, whether it's Marriott, you won't remember any celebrity name.
इनके है भी वैसे brand ambassador?
I think होते होंगे randomly on certain campaigns that they might have done at certain point.
Brilliant, yeah. That's a great insight.
It's just that experience that you remember, this is what that staff did on site. They remembered this is what I like eating, and then they ensured they organized it the next time as well.
Nice. नाइस नाइस। नहीं बट जैसे आपका सप्लायर इन्वेस्टर बन गया तो आपके कोई सेलिब्रिटी कस्टमर्स भी तो होते होंगे,
बहुत सारे
है ना,
हैं।
बहुत सारे होंगे, है ना। बता सकते हो कि नहीं, मतलब
Yeah.
है ना, बताओ फिर कोई।
Mahendra Singh Dhoni stayed with us.
यार ये तो आप गलत वाला कर रहे हो यार, ओपन मेरा बॉक्स यार, MS धोनी का। ओके ओके।
But a lot of other actors have stayed. Saif Ali Khan has stayed with us. Pariniti Chopra stayed. But बहुत सारे celebrities
ये
have
लोग नहीं
stayed.
फिर आते कि
lot of CXOs have stayed of companies, Marico family.
यार आपने MS धोनी मेरे को डिस्ट्रैक्ट कर दिया यार एकदम, आई एम ह्यूज धोनी फैन बट
All of us are.
या सो आपने धोनी का बात के ये लोग नहीं रीच आउट करते, बोलते हैं यार यू नो व्हाट, जैसे आपका सप्लायर इन्वेस्टर बन गया, ऐसा है ना अमित, बहुत बढ़िया कर रहा हूँ, मैं ब्रांड एम्बेसडर बन जाता हूँ, ऐसे नहीं होता होगा यार, पर हो सकता है इन द फ्यूचर, है ना।
We love it. I think we love all of them to be our brand ambassadors. Surya Kumar has stayed multiple times with us and like always been a supporter of what we're doing. So like we're very fortunate to have such guests.
Wow. And you know, one of the reasons I'll tell you, and I think it's very good for all the young people and all of the people, professional startups which are, you know, doing. When I reached out to Neil, right, I want to bring out Neil because नील से जब मैंने बात की ना, मैंने बोला यार यू नो, एंड ही इज़ ऑल्सो सपोर्टिंग द पॉडकास्ट थिंग वी आर बिल्डिंग। हमारा आइडिया यही था अमित भाई कि we wanted to bring stories and journeys of people who've created impact, right? And I feel that, you know, कई बार we all get carried away with the sexiness of, you know, इसको लेके आते हैं because ये आजकल famous हुआ ये show पे आया तो उसको ले आते हैं, and we said no, we will do this podcast for people who created actual impact on ground. 50 साल हम क्रीमिका की बात की, Avon Cycles की बात की, टाइनॉर की बात की, these have built great brands, and brands and companies cannot build with execution. ये लोग ना आज क्या एक बहुत एक क्लाउड बन गया, ओ जी ब्रांड बनाओ, पैसा रेज करो, निकल जाओ, राइट? इट इज़, you've said this over and over again, it is customer experience and it is day in day out execution. Do you want to say more about execution and like a message to young people watching it, not get carried away with this, the funding cloud and the unicorn craziness?
Yeah, I think any startup founder I meet or who wants to start up, my first question to all of them is, why do you want to do this? Because whatever you will end up doing, you'll do this, assume, for the next 10 to 20 years. So will you be happy doing this? Not because it'll make a lot of money, but like, is this something that really energizes you, really excites you, and do you like working with these people? That's the most important thing. The money will just be an outcome of all your efforts.
Byproduct, correct.
And unfortunately, yes, media has made it so sexy to like start up. Ki like, you know, it's something I should do because this is the best way to make money. Like 1 out of 100,000 entrepreneurs actually make that money. Right? And if money is the reason, I think there are many ways you can make money. But
9 to 6 job, better opportunity to make money.
Exactly.
Correct.
There's a higher chance of like losing money in terms of opportunity cost than like trying to make money as a founder. So I think that is the most important thing. I tell everyone, like, are you ready that in 10 years this business will make no money? Like an investor also, this business will make no money. Will you still do this? Then do this, other than the why.
Yeah. And I think मुझे ना यहाँ पे एक बड़ा important point discuss करना है. I said this recently कि जो entrepreneur word है ना, मतलब I've started to not hate that, but इतना ओवर यूज़ हो चुका है. आपके कंपनी में 360 लोग काम कर रहे हैं. एक्चुअली दोज आर द पीपल जो इंट्राप्रेन्योर्स हैं, दे मैटर, राइट? हमने क्या किया लास्ट 10 साल में, 5 साल में ना, हमने जो 9 से 6 नौकरी को बोल दिया ये ख़राब है, एंड विच इज़ नॉट खराब थोड़ा है यार, मतलब वो लोग भी तो काम कर रहे हैं, एंड आई थिंक दे आर द वंस हु आर एक्चुअली बिल्डिंग द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. सो आई थिंक मुझे ना ऐसा लगता है कि वेदर इट इज़ मीडिया और वेदर इट इज़ पीपल लाइक अस ओनली, यार हम ही लोगों ने इतना ग्लोरीफाई कर दिया है. एंड यू नो द थिंग अबाउट सोशल मीडिया इज, कोई अपनी ख़राब चीज़ थोड़ा बताता है, हर चीज़ अपनी अच्छी चीज़ ही बता रहा है ना, कोई ये तो बता नहीं रहा. सो आई ऑल्सो फील यार, आई थिंक जो प्रोफेशनल्स कंपनीज में काम कर रहे हैं 9 to 6, लाइक, एंड दैट इज़ वाई वी वांटेड टू बिल्ड दिस पॉडकास्ट, नॉट फोकस्ड ऑन एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप. सो इफ यू सी द काइंड ऑफ पीपल, वीव गॉट अ चीफ ऑफ आर्मी, वीव गॉट अ यू नो एंटरप्रेन्योर, वीव गॉट अ like a Sonu Sood we brought in. We never wanted to build this as a podcast only focused on entrepreneurs, because 9 से 6 नौकरी ख़राब नहीं है यार, बहुत सही है, right? And you have to have that ability to really persevere if you want to get into this line.
I fully agree. I think the people building the business is your team, and they are the actual entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
All you are doing is giving them the space to create something, a platform to create something. So at the end of the day, like they should actually be celebrated more than each and every one of the founders that are.
Yeah, absolutely. Amit bhai, एक और important चीज़ है which I ask all my guests is the India story. You know, India is going through a crazy time. आप यूएस से इंडिया वापस आए हो, राइट? यूएस, यू डिड अ ग्रेजुएशन, यू स्टार्टेड देयर. टेल मी समथिंग अबाउट दैट यार. व्हाई डिड यू कम बैक? मतलब ये StayVista हैपेंड इन 2014-15, राइट? 15. बट लाइक व्हाट वाज द होल अर्ज ऑफ कमिंग बैक फ्रॉम यूएस टू इंडिया? लाइक कि ऑलरेडी सोचा हुआ एंड देन यू वर्कड एज अ कंसल्टेंट फॉर मेनी ईयर्स. सो मेरे को थोड़ा उसमें बताओ एंड देन वील डीप डाइव इनटू द इंडिया स्टोरी ऑल्सो.
Yeah. I think academically, I always thought maybe the opportunities outside of India might be better, because I don't think I would have got into an IIT or an IIM or the top colleges of India. Frankly, I think Indians are, just there's so many smart people in India, and unfortunately, from an education system, there are very few really good institutions. So I felt to get a really good education, it might make sense going abroad. Studied at Northwestern University in Chicago, and even at that point, my aspirations in college was actually to become a diplomat. I studied international relations, I did economics, so I always thought I want to join the UN. That would be my ideal goal. So even when I was in US, the idea was, let's actually learn about different cultures, let's immerse yourself in different countries. So I spent some time in Egypt, I spent some time in South Africa as well. Those experiences I honestly enjoyed more than being in US, and I'll tell you very simply why. Because the Indian culture, which is, I would say, in most developing countries, is a culture of inclusiveness. It's a culture of spending time together with your friends, family, and I miss that. I miss the whole Indian culture of being with your friends, being with your family, jointly, like I've lived in a joint family, so nothing is yours. You're doing everything for everyone.
So upbringing also like that, the family.
And I felt that in Egypt. I felt at home over there. I felt like the culture, the people were similar to that. So I think I was quite clear that jo karna hai, India mein karna hai. I want to be part of not only the growth story of India, but also part of that culture of India, and see what I can contribute here. The second I would also say is with respect to what are your strengths, right? We were discussing this earlier. For you, being in Mohali is a strength for you in building your business here. I felt being in India is a strength for me. As an Indian who's been privileged to get a good education, we have more opportunities to do things here than most people. So why let go of that opportunity when you can make an impact?
कई बार हम अपनी privilege को acknowledge ही नहीं करते. That's another problem, right? कि अब acknowledge तो करो ना यार. You come from, मतलब अगर if I have, मुझे तो ऐसे लगता है, I'm again little going away from the topic, but this is very important to talk about, because मुझे लगता है कि if you've got 3 टाइम की रोटी आपको मिली है और आपके पास सोने के लिए छत थी, don't talk about struggle. बिकॉज इंडिया इतना डाइवर्स है, इतना ऐसे लोग हैं, आज के टाइम पे कुछ PR मीडिया तो बेचता ही यही है ना. वो तो स्ट्रगल को ही ग्लोरीफाई है. मतलब कई लोग बोलते हैं मेरा स्ट्रगल था, और आप पढ़े ऐसे स्कूल से जो 20 लाख रुपए का साल का था, राइट? सो आई थिंक टुडे वी एज ह्यूमंस एंड वी हैव पीपल हैव अ टेंडेंसी टू ओवर ग्लोरीफाई स्ट्रगल ऑल्सो. एंड मुझे लगता है जिन्हें 3 टाइम की रोटी मिली है, क्या स्ट्रगल की बात कर रहे हो?
Agree. And so I think that is what I felt like we should ride on that in some way. Last I would say is that I was still very passionate about socio-economic development. And I felt again, socio-economic development में कुछ करना है तो why do it outside of India? पहले इंडिया में करते. So I spent a couple of years as a Teach for India fellow. So this was a new...
Which year to which year?
2010 to 2012. So this was, we were the second group. So we were the guinea pigs, more or less. Right? Like this had just started in India, and I'd heard about it in US. And the philosophy that I was very attracted to at Teach for India was, it was always called teaching as leadership. So it was never just about being a class teacher. It was about the skill sets that are important to develop as a leader. And I felt that can be implemented across any sector or any industry that I work in, whether as a teacher, whether as a entrepreneur, whether as a corporate employee. I felt that skill set is something you can actually learn practically at a location, at a place like Teach for India. Fantastic experience. I tell everyone that was my MBA. Because managing those 35 kids is the same as managing 350 team members. I tell everyone this, that it was exactly the same as what I have to do today in managing those people. Everyone has different goals, aspirations. How do you align everyone? How do you help them develop? Is what I took away from Teach for India. Then I spent a couple of years in consulting, which I felt was very macro. It was a bird's eye view of a problem and how do you build systems, processes, strategies that can help solve it.
Also critical thinking आ जाती है because हमारे education system में critical thinking तो है ही नहीं, right? So I think seeing a problem, finding a solution, तो वो I think that also helps you in a consulting background.
So I felt Teach for India was एकदम hands-on, solve करो problem ये 35 बच्चों के लिए, improve their education outcomes, and then consulting was high level. How will a policy be built? How will a company build their strategy? I was like, दोनों कर लिया, अभी खुद का शुरू करते हैं.
Awesome.
That was sort of the skill set that I wanted.
शुरू में आपने बोला था $2 billion की मार्केट है, 16,000 करोड़ की मार्केट है, तो मुझे तो आई एम अगेन स्टिल थिंकिंग ऑन दैट कि इट इज़ अ ग्रेट नीश दैट यू हैव फाउंड आउट. एंड आई थिंक सीइंग सिटिंग विद यू स्पेंड सम टाइम इन द मॉर्निंग ऑल्सो, आई थिंक द courage and the ability to execute, the obsession of execution, I can see. And I feel that StayVista can go down to build a massive customer experience brand in this sector. Any advice to young people watching this, starting up? काफ़ी चीज़ें तो आपने वैसे cover कर दी है, but anything that you would like to pinpoint, any top 3 things or 4 things you want to mention?
Yeah, I think first is solve a problem. Don't chase the money. So what's the problem that you're solving? I think that's super critical, and try to find a problem that you actually understand. Because what typically starts happening is that you see in the media that this industry, these startups are doing really well. So everyone will try to find adjacencies to that business.
इसमें चले जाते हैं.
Correct. Is that core to them? Is that something they have a skill set in? Is that something they really relate to? And is that something they want to do for a long time? So I think really try to solve a problem that you connect with really helps. And I think just be patient. A lot of people are in this race that unfortunately we've also got used to it. Maybe even I was coming out of college, I thought कि 2 साल में कुछ अलग करते हैं. So I don't think that'll get us anywhere. And then things will fall in place if you're with the right people. So that's really important.
And talking to you, मेरे को ऐसी feeling आ रही है, you're also like a building this brand for a long term basis. Like do you, like मैं बोलता हूँ कि I want to see Hartek, our company in 2050 also. Like do you also like say these things कि I want to see StayVista after 25 years?
Yeah. I think I've always had that thought. Irrespective of whether I am at StayVista or not in whatever time frame, I think the happiest part would be when you've created an organization which stands for something and endures for a long time.
Awesome, yaar. And I think I am a big fan of Jim Collins, who good to great and built to last. And I feel great brands, great legacy brands have just focused on chasing greatness and building a process which lasts, and their product and services for generations to come. And Paji, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope people, young people, all sorts of people who are watching this really get inspired and they learn from this entire discussion.
Thank you. I think what you're doing is highly commendable. Honestly, I've heard and I've followed your podcasts, and just getting an opportunity to listen to people who have built such great businesses over a long time frame, right? Which a lot of times we hear about people who built a business in a very short time frame and suddenly come in the limelight. But the guys who've been building this for a long time often never get spoken about or showcased. And I think that's been fascinating to just hear their story. My story, I'm still so early in my stage, honestly, is very early. But the others that you have spoken to, it's inspiring.
इसीलिए तो मैंने आपको बोला था आप आओ पॉडकास्ट, बिकॉज आप 10 साल के बाद भी अगर आप बोल रहे हो आप अर्ली हो ना, दैट इज़ व्हाट इंस्पायर्स अस. बिकॉज यहाँ लोग हैं जो 6 महीने बना रहे, बोल रहे हैं हम हो गया हमारा, वी अराइव. एंड 10 years, राइट? आई एम 13-14 years नाउ इनटू बिल्डिंग दिस आर कंपनी, एंड आई फील दैट अभी तो स्टार्ट भी नहीं किया यार, अभी तो सीख रहे हैं ना.
Exactly.
एंड थैंक यू बाजी. आई होप दिस people learn and we are able to create some kind of value for them. Thank you, Baji.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.